Hi, welcome to Relationship Alchemy Live. I'm Marie Elizabeth Molly, and today we're talking about creating a loving relationship with yourself. And I'm also going live on Instagram at the same time, so occasionally you'll see me look over here, and that's what's happening. I'm checking Instagram to see who is with me over there. Hi, good to see you. So if you are joining me live, please go ahead and drop a hashtag live below. And if you're watching the replay, let me know too, because I love to know who's with me. And I can't always see who you are. So I would love to know. To receive the show notes from today's show, drop a notes in the comment and I will message you and get you access to that. Also, I have a really awesome assessment that shows you in about 4 or 5 minutes what's working well in your relationships and what needs your attention to improve. So it's a super quick and dirty way to get a sense of what's already working great and where to put your attention and focus on to have more of what you want. So to receive the link for that assessment, if you're in a relationship, drop the word partnered below. And if you're single, drop the word single below and I'll get you the right link. If you're on Instagram and you're watching this later, drop it in the comments or message me. Up to you. All right. My name is Marie Elizabeth Molly. I'm a relationship alchemist and I help busy, high powered women cultivate deeper love and connection in their personal relationships, especially their intimate relationships. And I do this through improving communication, through getting clearer access to your own desires and communicating them more effectively, through integrating work and relationship better, and lots of other fun things. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you. I am also going live on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube over here. So you'll see me going back and forth between these two cameras. So let's get started. Hi, I see. Video is freezing. Yes. Okay. I am on hotel internet, which is unreliable. Has it gotten better at all, or is it still freezing, Lauren? I see that there's a Facebook user saying hello. I can't see who it is. I'm happy you're here. Please let me know, those of you who are watching from Facebook or YouTube, uh, has the freezing gotten better, or are you just listening to me talk? Um, that would be helpful to know, and then I'll figure out what to do. Let's get started, because even if the video doesn't work, at least you can hear me. And if you want to drop a comment and let me know, that would be helpful. Still freezing. Rats. Okay. I am going to change over to a hotspot from my phone, which could take a second. We might lose connectivity for a second. uh, thing to come on. All right, now we are on a hotspot on my phone. Is this working? Let me know if you can see me now. I'm on Facebook over here and I'm on Instagram with you. Today we're talking about cultivating and creating a loving relationship with yourself. And yes, it's working. Good. Okay. So here's the truth. It can be kind of hard to create a healthy, loving relationship with somebody else without the template of a loving relationship with yourself. A lot of times we're driven by feeling we're not good enough. We have to work hard. We have to do all this stuff to deserve love instead of just being loved for who we are. And there can be a tendency to fall into overgiving or withdrawal, right? If you are in a relationship and your needs not being met, you might tend to withdraw. Whereas another person might tend to try to give more to feel like they deserve to ask for more. This kind of compensatory behavior that comes out of not fully loving ourselves just as we are leads to all kinds of destructive and self-sabotaging behaviors. And that ends up not serving us in our relationships. Am I right? I mean, yes. I'd love to know what's landing with you. If it's too private to say something publicly, I get it. You could just drop an emoji and be like, Bing, yes, I agree. If you don't want to divulge your deepest, darkest personal stuff, I get it. So I want to share a few ways to think about and look at self-love that can hopefully shift. I see that Instagram is now pausing because of lack of connection. This is intense. All right. So the first common mistake is that there's this prevailing wisdom, and that I think is a common mistake, that says you can't have a successful, loving relationship with somebody else until you love yourself. And I want to challenge that, because the way I look at it is our relationships with other people reveal, have the potential, should we approach them this way, to reveal to us where our triggers are, where we're doing great, where our clarity is, where it's still hard to have clarity and know what we want and ask for it directly. This kind of learning doesn't happen in a vacuum. I've heard over and over again from single women, I'm doing my inner work, and uh, I'm not there yet. I want to make sure, they don't say this word, but what I hear is like, I want to make sure that I'm perfect before I attract the next relationship, so that that relationship isn't a reflection of my wounding. I mean, they may not have the language to say it just like that, but that's what I'm hearing under the surface is, I'm going to be over here. I'm going to do my inner work over here and perfect myself. And then I can deserve to have an easy, wonderful, loving relationship. The fact is, there's no perfecting ourselves. Triggers will be triggers. Our stuff will come up. And what we do with that is what shows and reveals where we're at in our relationship with ourselves. Do we cut and run? Do we overgive? Do we go codependent? Do we gaslight? Do we allow someone to gaslight us and believe that, oh, I really am making this up, when we're actually feeling something true? All of these kinds of misinterpretations or challenges can arise in relationships when we're not fully connected and on our own side. We become very easily swayed. Tell me if this is landing so far. The second piece I wanted to talk about is, commercially speaking, we are bombarded with messages that self-love involves spending money to go to a spa and buying a nice car and buying nice clothes and treating ourselves to fancy restaurants and expensive wines and all the things. And while that stuff can be fun and is often very fun, I'm grateful to be staying at this hotel, even though the Wi-Fi is not all that. Self-love is an action-based thing, not a spending thing. So if you don't have a bunch of extra to spend to demonstrate that you love yourself, that's okay. Because what actually demonstrates that you love yourself is setting a boundary when a boundary needs to be set with someone, or communicating your wants and needs clearly and effectively, not abandoning yourself when someone comes along and does or says something that doesn't feel good to you. These are all actions that you can take on a daily basis that demonstrate self-love, and they don't cost you a thing. Now, they might cost you staying stuck in drama. They might cost you repeating old patterns. They might cost you a life of complaining about not having what you want. But those are costs I think most people would be willing to bear. At least I hope so. This is a beautiful comment. Yes, it's understanding we have choices in how we respond to triggering situations. Exactly. That is a much deeper indicator of where we're at in our relationship with ourselves, in this endeavor of creating a relationship that's loving toward ourselves. Choosing how we respond in triggering situations is an outgrowth of work done to befriend who we are, how we be, what we need, and advocating for all of that. Number 3, the third thing I wanted to talk about was to really start. So if there's been a history of self-abandonment or gaslighting or any of the things that I mentioned above, starting with one small loving action at a time, such as noticing, oh, I'm about to stay up late, later than I want to stay up because my friend or my date or my partner wants to keep hanging out, or even though I'm actually full and maybe I'm sleepy. The self-loving action right there would be to say, this has been a great night. I've so enjoyed it. See you again. I'm tired. I'm done. I'm going to bed. Whatever your version of saying that. That is a self-loving action where you take yourself to bed when you're ready to go to bed instead of staying up because somebody else isn't ready. Or choosing food that feels good to your body, or moving your body, choosing to move your body. One of my coaches told a great story this week about having all these plans to work out for 30 minutes at a time more often and wasn't sticking to it. And when she decided to choose a tinier action, like commit to 8 minutes a day of some kind of movement, how that was so much easier to say yes to in the flow of a busy day. And she ended up spending more time doing it, but not because that was the goal she set. All she set was a commitment of 8 minutes. That was a self-loving action because she noticed that the longer commitment was causing her to fail and not show up because she had so much else going on. And so she chose a smaller commitment that she could actually do. And then that led to her doing more than she expected. And then she got to feel like she wins and is super successful. Why? Because this person has a very healthy baseline of self-love and she knows how to set herself up to win. So start with one small self-loving action at a time. That is my invitation. I'd love to hear from you. Any comments so far on what I'm talking about? Any reflections, any questions? I love taking questions. And so I'd love to have you drop anything in the comments and I will respond. Uh, and I want to keep unpacking this thing that I hear a lot about while I'm waiting for questions about how I have to get my act together before I get into a relationship. There's at a certain baseline, yes, they it's good to do our work on our own without distraction of another person. However, there comes a point, and each of us knows this for ourselves. Nobody else can tell you this, but there comes a point where that need for the self-work with the self begins to become an avoidance of actually putting yourself in the ring and testing what you've been working on, testing the learning, finding out where the triggers still are, finding out your capacity to show up clear in challenging situations, finding out what of your inner work has moved the needle in terms of how you relate to others and what hasn't yet. The only way you find that out is in connection with other people. Hi, Trina. It's good to see you. And so I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn. So that's why you see me going back and forth between two cameras. And that was on Instagram for y'all. So I really want you to get this point that there are certain aspects of our development and our growth in love and relationship that only happen in connection. There's only so much that we can work on our own, which is not to say that self-work is not important, because it is. But at some point, you got to get back in the ring and you got to see what of your work took and what hasn't been integrated yet. It's like research. When you learn to approach relationships as research, as a way to understand yourself more deeply, everything changes. And so cultivating a loving relationship with yourself becomes the baseline for then how do you respond when you are with other people? Again, do you self-abandon? Do you speak up clearly and simply for what you want? Do you get triggered and then withdraw without telling somebody what's happening? Do you allow yourself to be gaslit? Do you allow somebody to say, no, that's not actually what's happening? You're not actually feeling what you're feeling. This other thing is happening. You only find that out when you're interacting with people. So I really wanted to counter this saying that gets bandied about that you have, the only way for you to have a healthy relationship with somebody is to love yourself first. No, that's not the only way. It is a way, and the love and foundation in a relationship with another can help you have the baseline to do the nitty-gritty work of learning how to back yourself, learning how to be your own loving advocate in relationship with others. So if there are no questions, I'm going to go ahead and recap what we've talked about and say bye-bye. In the meantime, I wanted to let you know I have this assessment. It is a beautiful assessment that in 4 to 5 minutes shows you super clearly where you're at, what's working great in how you relate to others, and what could use some work. And if you're in a relationship, drop the word partnered in the comments. If you're single, drop the word single, and I will get you those links. All right, so to return, any questions? Not yet. All right. And Instagram folks, you are also welcome to drop questions in the chat. And I'm happy to answer those over there, which will be for everyone. It's pretty fun to be in all these places at once. I'm kind of digging this. Thank you so much. I see the single comment. I will get you that link after the broadcast. All right. So we are going to recap today. Today, we're talking about creating a loving relationship with yourself. It can be hard, though not impossible, to create a healthy, loving relationship with someone else until you begin having a loving relationship with yourself. Because without that, you will tend to be driven by wanting to get love or receive love and not fully believing you deserve it. So it might make you overgive. It might make you withdraw when you get triggered. It might make you second guess yourself, not trust yourself, all because the connection with yourself is not entirely solid. So the first step to creating a more loving relationship with yourself is to discard this belief that says you can't have a loving relationship with another till you love yourself. I believe that that's a setup. I also believe there are certain things that we learn only in connection with someone else. So there's the work you do with yourself that's important, but then you have to test that work in the field. And sometimes staying over here and like, oh, I'm doing my self-work, starts to become, after a while, an avoidance because you're afraid to actually test, is this work solid? Is this work actually creating change? That's the first step, and the common mistake that I see is that people just take themselves out of relationships because I'm working on myself, and then they don't allow themselves to be in the ring, and they also don't allow themselves to be loved as they are growing through their imperfections. Because when you love yourself, you also love your imperfections, and it's okay that you make mistakes sometimes with other people. In fact, that's the only way we learn. Number two, the marketplace would have us do all these spendy and fancy things to demonstrate self-love, but it's actually something deeper than that. It's being able to speak up for yourself when something isn't the way you need it to be. It's being able to identify and share your wants and needs with others directly and simply. It's not abandoning yourself when you're in situations with other people that don't feel good, going along with them instead of sticking to what feels good to you. It's not allowing yourself to be gaslit, staying true to what you feel and know to be true. Things like that. Those are much more real expressions of self-love than anything you can buy. Although buying fun things is fun and I'm not against it, but that's not going to necessarily give you self-love. Number three is to start with one small loving action at a time. If there's something that you are wanting, a behavior that you're wanting to change, something you're wanting to bring into your life, what's one small action that would demonstrate that you've got your own back? Start doing that. Pick one action a day that demonstrates to yourself that you've got your own back. This is how you build true self-love. One action, one brick at a time. I'm Maria Elizabeth Mali, your relationship alchemist, and I help folks, primarily women, have deeper, loving, more connected relationships, really through learning how to show up for themselves within them. This has been Relationship Alchemy Live, and I'll see you next week. Actually, it's going to be on Wednesday next week, so keep your eyes out for that. And until then, remember that a great relationship starts with you.